around here.
We are live. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Sunday Night Live. I am your... Oh, now we're live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Sunday Night Live. I'm your host, yakinwithsarah. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, what's up? This is Jake Wyatt from the Wyatt Life.
There you go. I am going to see how I'm supposed to...
Ryder, get back in here.
There we go. This is probably going to do a double echo for just a second, guys. I apologize for that.
Come here, Ryder.
Okay. Is there a double echo? I don't hear one. All right, some early bird shout outs are coming at you. Let's see if this can... Oh, I can close that and still pull that. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Kentucky Catman, how you doing? Rigged PFA, Irvin the Paid Tourist, Justin's Fishing Fetish, Virginia Fisherman, Patriot Catfishers of America, Adam Outdoors, Get Out the House, Go Fish, Jimmy. How's everybody doing tonight? Hey, everybody feel free to share this on your Facebook and other social medias. In the next couple of minutes, we're going to get into talking about, well, the big topic of the night, which is going to be fishing and being outdoors with kids or toddlers. I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to call us professionals, but we are very well educated on this topic, I'd say. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I've got quite a bit of experience, I would say. I'm not a professional by any means, but I've got some big-time experiences under my belt. Ryder is bringing me pool balls right now. So.
There you go. How you doing, Ryder?
Hey, come here. Why don't you get up here and say hi to everybody? Hey, look, there's Sarah.
Hey, Ryder.
Say hi.
How you doing? Okay, you go do that.
He wants to go play with the pool balls.
Alex says, I have experience being annoyed by kids. Yeah, so we're going to talk about being outdoors with kids, how to keep kids entertained, all kinds of questions like that. We both,
don't do that.
Jake and I, are being outdoors very often with our kids, and we're going to give a little bit of insight about that. And if you guys have any questions for us, just shoot the questions in the chat. Not sure which way it appears on your screen, but wherever the chat is, go ahead and ask away. We're going to go ahead and jump into it. So if you missed it before, this is Jake from the Wyatt Life. Doing a different format today because I have an issue with OBS and other softwares right now. So jumping into it, Jake, what is the biggest challenge when taking kids outdoors?
Okay, I've thought about this question a little bit. The biggest challenge for me, and this is just my personal experience, every kid's different, every parent's different, but for me, I feel like the biggest challenge is, for one, keeping your kids interested in what you're doing, and not getting too obsessed over their reaction to what you're doing. I mean, sometimes you feel the need to like kind of interject and make them react, or you want a certain reaction out of them. The first time you go fishing, the first time you go mushroom hunting, whatever you're doing, you can't expect that kid to react the way you want to. They're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to have their own reaction. They might love it. They might hate it. So the biggest challenge is keeping them interested and not getting too upset if they don't react the way you want. Also, a big challenge is, for me, is not getting too frustrated with them, especially younger kids. Ryder just turned 3. He's like spilling pool balls all over the garage right now. Like,
that's great. Example. That's great.
But not getting too frustrated with them. If they're, like he just said, being annoying, kids do that a lot. Not getting too frustrated when they don't want to go with you, don't want to do what you want to do. especially if you're making YouTube videos like we do, you cannot force it. You cannot force that actual content. I mean, if you want real stuff, just set up a camera and let happen what happens. You can't force it. I mean, that's the thing. Filming and just getting the kids outdoors also is two different things. There's a lot of challenges that come up either way. Sorry, hold on a second.
All right.
Sorry, somebody's trying to call me.
You're fine. The train's trying to get to you too.
Yeah, you can hear. Yeah, there's a train again. But anyhow, I mean, that's my biggest challenge is just keeping the kids interested and actually not getting frustrated myself too much. And you're gonna get frustrated. It happens. No one's a perfect parent. No one's a perfect person. Like, don't get too beat up on yourself if you snap. You know, if you lose your cool for a second and snap at the kids. But don't try not to do it too much, because those kids, they like Ryder. He's only 3. If I snap at him, he instantly will be hurt. It hurts him. He instantly is heartbroken if I yell at him or anything. He's lucky he doesn't get spanked. I don't spank him, but I mean, I might snap at him if he gets too crazy with something. Usually if it's something that could be harmful to him or whatever, running out where there's cars or whatever, you know, I might snap at him and lose my cool and I feel bad instantly. It might happen, but try not to do that as much as possible, because you can really, you can make a kid really, you could really hurt their feelings about it. And then the next time they'll remember, well, last time we went out and fishing or whatever, daddy or mommy, you know, they snapped at me, and they were all, you know, they'll remember that. Ryder is only 3. He doesn't forget anything. If I promise him anything, the next day, oh, you said we're going to do that or whatever, you know.
Yeah, mine's the exact same way.
Yeah, so that's some of my biggest challenges for me.
What's some must-have equipment as a parent? Whether it be fishing or just simply outdoors, what's something that you always bring with you that might be different from those that are going out without kids?
Yeah, must-have equipment. And again, this varies. Depends what region you're in or what you're doing. But basically, the biggest must-have equipment. If your kids are not potty trained yet, obviously extra diapers, all that stuff. Because I've had Ryder out since he was very young. I've had Ryder out in the wilderness since he was 3 months old. I mean, 3-4 months old. I was putting him on a baby backpack, which that is essential. If you're taking babies, young ones out and doing hikes and stuff, a baby backpack. Those are the best things ever. I had Ryder in that thing till he was about a year old, probably. I mean, I use that a lot. But yeah, if they're not potty trained, diapers, extra change of clothes and stuff, warm clothing, whatever is appropriate for the time of year. Also, once they get potty trained, they're like Ryder, he's 3, he's starting that. He's getting into that stage. Extra change of clothes, period. No matter what the age, extra change of clothes, because they're going to get wet, they're going to get dirty. If you're going to be out there more than an hour or so, you need extra change of clothes. Extra shoes, socks, bring like 3 or 4 extra pairs. With Ryder, when I go out on an adventure that's going to be longer than 2 or 3 hours, I bring like 4 or 5 extra pairs of socks and extra pairs of footwear, because he's almost guaranteed in the first 10 minutes, he's going to get into the water. He's going to get, I mean, he's crazy. And most kids, everybody likes to say that about their own kid. Like, oh, my kid, he's just the craziest. He does this and that, or she does this and that. Everybody's kids will do this. If you expose them out in the outdoors, they're going to get into it 9 times out of 10. I mean, they'll find the dirtiest, wettest, the worst stuff they can get into, and they're going to find it. So bring extra clothes. Another must-have is sunblock. You need to keep sunblock on your kids. I worry about it more now that I'm older, but when I was a kid, I never worried about it. Now I've got all kinds of sunspots. And, I mean, I work outdoors all the time, so I have all kinds of sun exposure. Sunblock, bug spray if you need it, and there's all kinds. Try to find stuff for kids that's not so harsh. I I mean, you can, I have rubber boots with Ryder, like knee-high rubber boots, but those are pretty useless sometimes because he usually goes past them in the first hour. He's past them and then his feet are soaked. You're almost better off with water shoes because they can dry. But yeah, that's kind of some of the essential stuff. And right here, your own mindset in your own head. I mean, be prepared mentally for about anything. If you're going to go out in the wilderness, fishing, hiking, camping, be ready for anything because anything can happen.
Right. And just like you said, they're going to get into everything they could possibly get into.
Yep.
I know mine, she does extremely well if we're out on the boat or the kayak. But if we're bank fishing, it's over. She's going to be all over the dock, all over the bank. She's going to be wherever she wants to be and doing whatever she wants to do pretty much.
Yep, exactly.
What are some of the biggest safety concerns being out there with kids?
Safety concerns. Okay. And yeah, that's another kind of ties into crucial equipment or whatever with kids. Some of the biggest thing with fishing, we do everything. I mean, that's why I made my channel name the Wyatt Life.
Yeah.
Like my last name is Wyatt, because I didn't want to make it like fishing with jig or whatever, because I knew it was going to be, it's more kind of a vlog also. It's not just fishing. Because we do everything. I mean, we do all kinds of outdoor stuff. We hunt for arrowheads, just whatever. But if you are fishing or boating, anything around water, life vests. Life vests are super important with little kids, especially. And you shouldn't even, there's times where I don't have a life vest on Ryder if it's not so deep, but that doesn't really matter because it's more you watching them. Because you can drown in this much water. I mean, you don't have to have deep water to drown. I mean, especially with little kids, you need to be watching them like a hawk. Yep. But that being said, gives you a little more peace of mind. Like Ryder's, I put it right here so that I could show it. This is Ryder's life vest. It's a little zip up deal, but what's really good about it, it has the strap that buttons up under their crotch. It goes up under between their legs and connects. So it actually holds the life vest from going like this. Up over their head.
Yeah.
A lot of the old school ones, if they fell in the water, that sucker just go right up over the head and their face would be under the water. And even with this kind, that can happen. So don't just rely all your water safety on a life vest. Don't just let your kid go off. Oh, he's got a life vest on. He's fine. If they're under a certain age, you need to be watching them because even with the best life vest money can buy, they could drown. I mean, you just got to be careful. And you don't want to.
That's not just kids, so many cases on our lake at home and in the surrounding lakes here, we have so many deaths from people going out in their boats. Either they're going fast and they fall out, or they're out on Party Island and they step off a ledge and they don't realize it's a ledge and they're tipsy and they don't have their life jacket on and it's over just like that, guys. So always remember that it's been an issue here over the past couple of months. We've had several deaths in the area just that could have been prevented by people wearing a personal flotation device. So
yeah, and I didn't mean to harp on that so much, but like you just said, yeah, it doesn't matter what age you are. Like I'm not a great swimmer. Like I can swim pretty well. But when I was younger, I smoked a lot of cigarettes and like my lung capacity wasn't that much. I've quit. It's been almost 2 years since I quit and it's better, but still I can't swim that far. So if you're out off of something and you get to a point where you have to swim a certain distance and there's nothing to touch bottom, I mean, if you're not experienced floating on your back, this and that, you can drown as an adult, even though you think you're like some great swimmer. I mean, you got to be careful with that. I try to wear a life vest. If I'm out on open water where there's any kind of situation where I might have to be in that, I wear a life vest. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like to, but I mean, whatever. But the other kind of safety things with kids, I mean, that's pretty important. But also, something I thought of earlier is when we come in and out of areas, like in my local reservoirs, I have a lot of public land around me.
Okay.
that I have access to. And these roads are just old gravel roads that go back there, and we'll be walking down them or crossing them, going through the woods, fishing spots or whatever. And you get lulled into this false sense of security, like, oh, you're in the middle of nowhere. There's no traffic. You don't hear a car for 2 hours. So you don't think about it. When you're getting to your parking lot, when you're going and leaving, you need to pay attention to where your kid is in front of you. You need to raise those kids to not run up in front of you up into a parking lot or whatever.
Yeah.
Just like at the store. Treat it just like you're at the store or by a highway. Even though you're in the middle of nowhere, that's where that kind of crap happens, because you don't think there's going to be a car anywhere, and all of a sudden here comes some kids in a pickup truck barreling 60 miles an hour down the gravel road.
Yeah.
And boom. I mean, one split second. So you got to be careful with that.
Definitely. Do you pack a first aid with you when you go out?
And I saw that question. Yeah. When I go out fishing with Ryder and stuff like that, we don't usually have a first aid kit with us. When we're camping, if we're going somewhere for an extended period of time, in the camper, we keep a first aid kit and we keep a fire extinguisher.
Okay.
It's an old camper, just in case we have a fire gets out of hand or the electrical in that, something happens. But we keep a first aid kit in that. And it just has basic first aid, bandages, burn lotion, like burn salve, stuff to wrap up a wound or whatever. I mean, it's not a crazy first aid kit, but we did find it important to put into the camper. But like when I'm out with Ryder, I don't usually pack an actual first aid. That being said, I mean, it's not a bad idea to have, especially if you're going to be out for extended periods of time or far away from where you can't if you don't have access to a hospital very quickly or anything like that. That's something you really want to think about. But also, like I've said before, with a lot of the stuff, I'm going to say one of your biggest things that can help you, one of the best things you have on your side is your mentality. Your think ahead kind of, as a parent, you'll find, most parents know you think of the worst scenario sometimes. And that's not a bad thing. You do that. It's a defense thing. You're preparing for the worst because you don't want that to happen. But just kind of keeping your mind right. And if something were to happen, keeping your cool and actually being able to call an ambulance and listen to what they tell you to do. Also being CPR certified. At work, they offered that a couple years back, and I was definitely on board with that. And they did a whole section about like infants and toddlers.
Yep.
So I'm CPR certified. That's something, if you're an adult or if you're a parent, especially, they do free. Do what?
Most hospitals do free classes on CPR. I'm emergency team certified, so I get it through that. But most hospitals, especially for pregnant women or for women in general, for their kids, they offer free classes at most hospitals.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I was gonna say. There's free places that do it for free all the time. If you're a parent, you should do it. Every couple of years, you should do a class or something, because CPR, I've had to do CPR on people before, and it is not, if you're in an actual situation like that, it is freaky as heck, and you basically a lot of people will just freeze up and won't do anything. And if it's your kid, you need to be able to go into action if you have to. It's just a freaky situation. If you don't have any training doing it, all you have is what you see on movies and stuff, and that is not accurate. That is not a good way to know how to do CPR. No, you really want to have training to get the concept of it. Hey, buddy, come here. What? Oh, it's like bedtime.
Okay.
Come here. Oh, you gonna tell everybody good night? Say good night, Sarah.
Good night.
Give me hugs and kiss. Hug. Love you. Yeah.
And I know the hospital here does do that, precision angling, teach basic CPR to new parents. CPR, Jim can attest to this. It's a lifesaver. It's definitely it. Depending on how quick they get to you, and with proper training, that can be your ticket or your trip, I should say. So how long? Actually, let me go more in depth than that. I asked you if you take a first aid, and you don't, but I do. I have a first aid kit that I keep in the car. I don't take it out of the car with me, but and basically all it is bandages, like the actual big bandages, and then I also have Band-Aids in there and Neosporin. But on top of that, I have a bottle of peroxide and a bottle of alcohol, along with me. I have pliers that are able to cut, like if a fishing hook was to get stuck in me or something like that. I have pliers so I'm able to cut that barb off if I need to, and pull the hook out if I need to, and rinse it and continually rinse it with the peroxide or the alcohol. But another question for you: how long do you usually stay out with Ryder when you're going out there?
Yeah, like you said, with all that, with Jim having his heart attack, is he on here right now?
Yeah,
I'm
Jim's on here.
I'll say he always is. I'm glad that you're doing all right, man. That's freaky stuff. When I talk about doing CPR, I don't want to get into it too much, but that was my own father. He had a heart attack when I was 18 years old. We were working on a car, and I had to do that, and he didn't make it. And he was like 52. And that's another reason why I quit smoking and I'm trying to get healthier. It's just once we had the kids, I want to be around for them. And I'm sure you do too, Jim. Like, it's just, it really hit home. But anyways, moving on. I usually spend, it depends. I've had Ryder out in the reservoir, out in the woods fishing for over 8 hours. I mean, straight. But I've also there's times where we go out and it's just for an hour or so, 2 hours. It depends mainly on the weather. The weather is the biggest factor. If it's 90 degrees plus and it's humid, a lot of times I'll cancel a day. I'll cancel what we're going to do, because the only way to do that, early morning, basically. Late afternoon, but mainly early morning. If you get out super early when the sun first comes up and it's going to be that hot, then you can have an hour or two usually, or it's not too bad. But be prepared to leave when it heats up, because that's just too hot to be having the kids out. Especially, that's another thing with safety. I was going to say is hydration. Make sure your kids are hydrated, because your kids, especially like 2, 3 years old, even older, they don't even pay attention to that. They're not going to sit there and tell you, oh, I'm thirsty, or this or that, or I don't feel good, I feel dizzy. They're not going to tell you that, especially if you're having a good time. They're not going to say anything. If you feel like you're dehydrated, you feel like it's too hot, guess what? Your kids are more susceptible to that kind of exposure than you are. If you're feeling that, it's time to get out of there. You got to know when to call it, and it's hard to do, especially if you're having a good fishing day or whatever, and you're thinking this is too good to miss. No. If it is too hot and you're feeling like this is bad, get your kids out, call it a day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not worth going to that extent. I mean, even if you're having a great time, you just got to be careful. But I usually have Ryder out anywhere from an hour, like 2 hours or 3 hours usually, if we're just going out fishing or something. A few hours on an average fishing trip, or magnet fishing, or whatever, arrowhead hunting, whatever it is we're doing. I try not to have them out too long. And a lot of times Ryder will let me know. Sometimes they'll tell you, like, I want to go home. If they're getting fed up with it and they're ready, they're telling you, even as a 3-year-old, it's time to go home. Listen to them and get out of there. Because like I said earlier, you don't want to like traumatize them in a bad way on your outings. You don't want them to be, every time you want to go fishing or do anything, they don't want to have this bad stigma on it. Like, oh, not really, I don't want to go, because last time they remember that you forced them to stay out for an hour or two more than they wanted to. And man, especially if they, like, there's times where Ryder starts crying about it, then it's time to go. Get out of there. And tell them, oh yeah, we can go, kind of make them feel involved in that decision sometimes. I mean, you don't want to baby them too much, I don't think, but you don't want to be too harsh on them with that.
I use you brought up magnet fishing, and what I do is a lot of times, especially you don't always get to decide when you can go fish, especially as a parent. You go when you can, and I know a lot of times for me, it's in the middle of the day. I've actually got that free time to do something, and sometimes we'll go out there, and instead of sitting there, I might throw a bobber out, and what I'll do is I'll take the magnet and I'll let her drag the magnet, and I'll pull it up for her every now and again. And it keeps them entertained. Dropping the magnet down around a dock or whatever only takes about 30 minutes to cover all the way around the edge of the dock. If the kid's feeling up to it, you can stay longer, watch the bobber. If not, you can always just call it a day. You probably found some cool stuff around a dock, and they're going to have fun the whole time. I know for me that my little magnet was probably one of the best investments I've made when taking kids out. So yeah. Let's see. Someone asked us a question about country music. Do we like older country music or newer country music? Do you have a preference, Jake?
Definitely older country music. Anything past the 80s at all. There's some that's probably okay, a few songs here and there, but most stuff past the 80s I have no interest in whatsoever, especially anything past 2000 I really am not into.
Yeah.
I like old school, actually. I like a lot of different kinds of music. Anything from like Ray Charles, Bob Marley, all the way to Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, Tom Petty. There's a long, big variety of music. Me and Cora are really into music. That's like a big part of our life. And but country music, I would say old school, like Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, the Highwaymen. If anybody knows what group that is, it's like the super group that was Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Chris Christopherson, that kind of stuff. That's the kind of country music that I grew up listening to. My dad was quite a bit older than my mom, and I grew up on old country. I listen more to actually like 60s, 70s rock, and like folky stuff, almost like hippie stuff that a lot of people would call it. That's really what I got into when I was younger. But like I said, it's a huge variety, but definitely older country. I'm not a big fan of newer stuff, really.
I'll agree with you on the older country, but just like you said, I listen to everything. Literally everything. Before I decided to not pursue the career of teaching, I was actually a music major at the university I went to, and so.
Yeah, you can take him. Cora's going to take the baby.
Okay.
I wanted everybody to see the baby before she took him. Here's Reed.
He's precious.
Look at that hair. He's got tons of hair. It sticks like straight up too. But yeah, I just wanted to at least have him on here. She's going to take him in now. Hi, buddy. Wait. Okay, go ahead.
So I got to experience a wide range of music from pop to rap to classical to country. We were interested in all of it. So yeah. But going back to fishing and outdoors. How do you, we briefly mentioned this, I think it might have been before we went live, but how do you entertain Ryder when there's not a lot going on?
Okay. Basically, Ryder, for the most part, keeps himself pretty entertained. If we're in the outdoors, there's not a lot of time where he's like, I'm bored, like so far. When he gets older, I'm sure that'll change. Yeah. My niece is a little bit older, and sometimes she gets bored doing stuff, but Ryder's usually, if he gets bored with fishing, which is another thing I kind of wanted to touch on, when they get bored like that, if they're entertained whatsoever and you out there with you and they're happy, let them be. Let them do their thing, because Ryder, he'll go try to catch crawdads, or he'll just sit in the water. He'll just sit in the water and play with rocks. whatever it might be, he's usually entertained. He's usually pretty much self-kept there. Like I don't have to mess with him usually. If he's done fishing, I don't push it. I let him do his thing. And now that being said, it wouldn't be a bad idea if you're not sure how your kids are going to react, if you don't have them out a lot, to pack some toys or something. Whatever kind of bag you carry, pack light, but don't pack too light. I mean, the key name of the game is, if you're going any kind of distance, is to pack light. But there could be one little thing you forget that can ruin your whole trip. If you forget diapers, or if you forget a change of clothes, or bug spray, or, you know, sunblock or hat for the kid, boom. Oh, I forgot it at home. We just drove 20 miles from home to get here. Now I don't have the stuff. So now you got to go to the store that's nearby and buy something, or you can't have your kid out because it's too hot or whatever's going on. So, but yeah, you might want to pack some toys, just a little something to keep them entertained, you know, if you want to stay out longer. But like with Ryder, I'm pretty lucky. He keeps himself entertained. If we're outside, that kid is happy. He'll dig for bugs. He'll dig for snakes. He doesn't care what it is. He's out there doing his thing. So.
Okie Outdoors asked what our PBs were. I'll let you go.
My PB, which I didn't even know what that meant until I started doing YouTube. I'm like, what the heck is a PB? Like, personal best, okay? The biggest fish that I probably ever caught, definitely, size-wise, is a carp. I caught a carp that I think it was around just under 20 pounds. And I caught it on a 4-weight fly rod.
Wow.
A small fly rod that I have. And it was crazy. I caught that thing and fought it for probably 10 minutes at least. Almost snapped almost snapped my fly rod. But it just depends on what it is. Like brown trout, I think 16 and a half inches or 17 inches. I think 17 inches on brown trout. And it's different because different kind of species of fish, people measure differently. Yeah. I never realized that either. Like bass, I've fished bass all the time, but I'm not like a pro bass fisherman or anything. I don't know anything about that. I didn't realize that people usually weigh them in pounds. For years, I was measuring all my fish in inches. I told one of my buddies one time.
You're ready to go for a kayak tournament then?
Right? Yeah. I saw Old Lady Angler, a lot of her videos. She does a lot of tournaments, and she's always measuring. And I'm like, that's more what I'm used to, is in inches or whatever. Because I told one of my buddies, the younger kid that worked with me, well, yeah, I caught this one smallmouth and he was 20 some inches. He's like, oh, well, how much did he weigh? I'm like, I don't know. Like, he's like, well, that's what's more. I caught a 4-pounder. I'm like, well, now I weigh them both ways, but I didn't realize that. So, I mean, it just depends on the fish. But yeah, brown trout, probably 17 inches. I've caught some pretty good smallmouth bass. Like I said, 22 inches or something. It was probably at least around 4-pound smallmouth, which is pretty big for where I'm fishing. Largemouth bass, I don't even know. I don't think I've gone over 5 pounds. I think I've got around 5-pound mark a couple times at lakes up north, but I don't think I've gone over. I haven't done a lot of measuring of my fish until I started doing YouTube, because people are real big on it. And I just haven't been that big on measuring the fish that I do. I don't do a lot of tournaments. I haven't been that big on actually documenting how big my fish are. It's a real big one. You know what I mean? I take a picture of it and I show it to people, like, check this out. I haven't been big on that. Now that we go on here, like, I measure Ryder's fish when I think they're his biggest one, just to document it, you know. And
for me, my biggest fish ever would be a 32-pound blue catfish.
That was awesome.
As for, if you guys haven't seen that video series, it's of me fishing with the ear millhorn, and it was a blast. Totally awesome. It was a blast. Biggest bass was, who knows how big that thing was.
15 pounds?
No, it wasn't 15 pounds. It wasn't a double digit. My guess is between 7 and 8 pounds. That's a realistic guess.
I think I remember seeing that video, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a very realistic guess, between 7 and 8 pounds, and it was a monster. It was huge. How you doing, K-Bug? Let's see.
Hey, K-Bug.
Our questions. What we talked about this, but what kind of mindset should you have before taking the kids out?
Mindset. Yeah, we talked about this. Basically, be prepared to, like they said earlier, be annoyed. I mean, just you're gonna get drove crazy a lot of times. But I talked to Sarah about this earlier. There are times where if you haven't taken kids out in the outdoors a lot, there's this like novelty to it, like this romantic idea that, you know, you watch the movies and you're gonna just connect with your kid, and the kid's gonna just meet all your expectations. You know, I mean, this kid's just gonna take off and become some great fisherman or fisher lady, you know, or some great hunter, and it's just not realistic. Now, that being said, I guarantee you, if you take your kids outdoors a lot, you are gonna have moments like that. You are gonna have the actual novelty moments where you're like, man, this is awesome. So worth it. Makes all the annoyance, all the little hassles totally worth it. Me and Ryder have moments all the time where I'm just like, you know, that's my boy, you know, or that's your girl, you know, you're so excited for it. So it is totally worth it, but don't get your mindset to where you think that that's every trip. You know, you might go out and a storm might brew up and you're done. Your whole idea of that day is ruined. Don't get ticked off about it too much. You know, it's just like, it is what it is. Take them to the ice cream stand and call it a day. Not a big deal. I've gone through this. This is my journey. I've gone through this where I got so hyped up about taking Ryder to a special fishing spot. Yesterday, I was going to take him an hour and a half away to this new place we'd never fished. There's supposed to be trout, and I was super excited. Well, I didn't look at the forecast. It was supposed to be 90 degrees yesterday, actually like 95, and it was. So instead, I took him to a local pond, or a pond that a lady that I worked for gave me permission to fish. We only fished for like an hour and a half in the morning before it got too hot. And my plan was totally shattered, you know, but I made the best of it, changed plans, got to be able to adapt. Because if it was just me, I would have went on that fishing trip anyways. 95 degrees, I don't care. I'll be out there all day. It don't matter. But with a 3-year-old kid, you know, you got to tweak your plans and you got to put yourself aside a lot of times, especially like catching fish too. We talked about that. Don't worry about catching big fish and stuff like that. That's awesome if you can get a kid on it, but you need to set yourself aside a little bit and worry about that kid having a blast and get super excited about it. Because when he gets older, if you don't do that and you're just about you and you get frustrated with him, and he's not going to look kindly upon that, or she is not going to look kindly upon that, you know, like, oh, I remember fishing with dad or mom, and I don't want that. That's not fun, you know.
I remember them ignoring me while I was trying to catch a fish.
Yep, exactly. And like when I take Ryder out, you guys see my videos, and I edit my videos a lot, but there's a lot you don't see, which I'm working on a video right now that's like, I don't know what I'm going to call it, like living with a 3-year-old or like fishing with kids, or I think I might call it raising Wyatt boys. That might be what I call it, but it's basically, I'll have the baby in there too, but it's like all these moments that you don't see with Ryder, all the crazy stuff he does, and just hitting me with sticks and fake swords all the time, and just all this random stuff that you don't always see. You need to focus more on that kid. Get that mindset. It's about the kid. It's about the kids. Don't be worrying about your YouTube videos, and don't so much. And you know, I try to capture everything, but don't worry about trying to get that perfect shot with the kid and this and that. You know, you try to force it, it's not going to happen. I talked about that in that last video I did at the end. Like, you can't force it. When the kids get done, they're done, you know, and just get your mindset, get your head wrapped around it, that it's about that kid or those kids having a good time and wanting to do it again. Return business. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for return business on taking them outdoors, because the next time they go, you want them, like you were saying with your daughter, you want them to be asking you, when are we going again? When are we going again? If they're asking you that, you're doing something right, keep doing it. If you're having to force them, like pulling teeth to get them to go out and do stuff, you're doing something wrong. You know, you need to back off or put a new spin on it, you know, make it funner for them somehow. Don't be so harsh on them, whatever. But if they're asking you to go outdoors all the time, you're doing something right.
What's some of the craziest moments you've had out there with your kids?
Oh, geez. That, I have a lot of those with Ryder, especially. Reed's like 6 weeks old, so I don't have a whole lot with him. I have had him out a couple times already in the reservoir. But with Ryder, there's one story that comes to mind right off the bat, and that is a camping trip we had when Ryder was probably 2 years old, or not quite 2. We're camping. Ryder's playing with this caterpillar, and I didn't think anything of it. It was like a fuzzy caterpillar, like a white one. Well, then I started seeing these little hairs coming off of it, and I'm like, he probably should not have this caterpillar, because some caterpillars, if they shed their hairs, some caterpillars have irritating hairs. They'll stick in you, kind of like fiberglass. With me, my hands are all calloused over, whatever. They're not going to hurt me. But with a little baby or a kid, they have soft skin. About the time I thought that, I said, you know, what do you got? I'm like, oh, you better give that to me. He saw that I was going to try to take it from him. His first reaction is to put it in his mouth. This fuzzy caterpillar. Like instantly, like, oh, put it right in his mouth. Holy crap. It instantly shed almost all its hairs right into his lips.
Oh.
And they were like fiberglass. They stuck right in his lips. Oh my gosh. I got him off, brushing it off of him. And at this time, Ryder was still using a binky. He wasn't even 2 years old. He's still using a pacifier. We call it a bink.
Yeah.
Binky. But that was the only thing, that was the only tool in our arsenal that we had to calm Ryder when something was really bad. That was kind of a crutch almost, you call it. When a kid has a mouthful of fiberglass-like hairs in his mouth, a pacifier only aggravates it. So we're camping out away from home on a 3-day weekend or whatever, a 2-day weekend. And I mean, he was fine. It wasn't like life or death situation. Like it wasn't going to kill the kid. You know, we tried to give him water, soothe him, ice, whatever. But every time we tried to give him his bink, and that was just instantly, he'd flare up and freak out again. He cried for like 3 hours, and there was nothing I could do for him. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a take your kid to the hospital kind of deal. I mean, he was okay, but at the same time, I mean, we almost packed up and left because it was like, this is ridiculous. We're hanging out with everybody, and then it's just like, your kid, you got to pay attention to that kind of stuff. And I never knew that. I've touched those caterpillars and stuff. They never hurt me. I never had a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old. You know, I never had a kid. But holy cow, 3 hours. I walked him around the campground, holding him, and it just was bad, bad, bad. And after the end of the night, they broke off and fell out, and he was fine. It's not a big deal. But
I will say some of the stories, because we've talked a little bit over the week, and I've got to hear several stories about Ryder. And some of the stuff you've told me, I'm just like, I'm really glad Annabelle hasn't done that.
Yeah, I told you about the
spider.
Ryder caught a spider, okay? Ryder caught a spider. I know that rhymes. He caught a spider, and I mean an actual spider. I mean, I don't know, he's the size of my pinky nail or something. I don't know. Not a daddy long leg. Kid brings it in the living room. Talking about a spider. I'm like, what are you talking? I got a spider. Sure enough, he's got a spider in his hand. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, let's put that outside. Well, the second we tried to take it away from him, because Cora's like, no, I don't want to see it. Get away from me. The second we tried to put it out, take it away from him, his first reaction is to take the spider and put it in his shirt. Throws the spider in his shirt. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, are you serious? So then we're like, no, you gotta get out of your shirt. It's gonna bite you, whatever. Take his shirt off. Sure enough, here a spider falls out on the floor. So then he's freaking out because he thinks I'm going to kill it. So then we scoop it onto my hand, and I take it outside, and we let it go. He would not. He just threw a fit until we actually were going to let it go. Don't hurt him. Don't hurt him. Well, most of you guys, most of you watching, if you watch my videos, you know how Ryder talks. You know, you can't hardly understand him. That's why I have subtitles on all my videos for him. But yeah, just imagine Ryder. Don't kill him. Don't kill him. But yeah, and then like the other day, he had a grasshopper in the house and had a grasshopper on the baby. There's a grasshopper on the baby. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, he put it on the baby. And then he freaked out, wanted to put it outside. He didn't want to kill it. Or I'm like, why do you have this inside? He's like, and then he had a crawdad in the house the other day because I have a crawdad bin in here. I'm trying to raise crawdads for bait because I love using live crawdads for like smallmouth bass. And he had a crawdad in the living room. We didn't realize, and had it on his head. Cora's like, what is on your head? Crawdaddy. Like, oh, nice. Let's take it outside. No, I mean, just you don't realize it's just a split second, and he'll get something and bring it in. So yeah, I mean, it's just constant. And the great thing about that is with the YouTube channel now, it is constant content. I mean, like I said before with you, I just have to set my camera up and let it roll, and Ryder just does the rest.
Let me give a shout out. Yankee sent a raid through the chat, so that's actually the first raid I've gotten in a live stream. If you don't know what a live stream raid is, that's where one channel sends all their guests in their live stream to your live stream, and they all give support or whatever, say hey, whatever, and talk real fast, and then a lot of them end up going off, but some of them end up staying. It's always fun to see. So that's my first raid. So thanks for that, Yankee. That was fun. Fun to see all those comments.
Yankees Outdoor Adventures?
Yeah.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. That was one of the notifications I got earlier that he was going live. Yeah, because I watch his channel. I'm getting ready to do a nature time lapse. He has a tournament.
He's got that. Yeah, he's got that tournament, or not tournament, but contest, right?
Yeah, it ends August 20th. And I'm getting ready. We're going to do one. I'm trying to. I don't want to give away my strategy here, but I'm trying to capture monarch butterfly chrysalis hatching into a monarch butterfly right now.
You just completely gave away.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just excited about it. I have 3 of them at work. 3 chrysalises I've found and I'm tracking. And tomorrow is day 10, and they're supposed to hatch. Like, I've been watching them, and I'm trying to catch them. But yeah, I'm super excited about that. I've never done time lapse, and he got me onto that big time. I like his channel. He's a pretty cool dude.
Let's see. That is a really cool contest. What is your most memorable fishing trip you've ever had?
Most memorable? That's hard to say. I've had a lot. I've fished since I can remember, since before I can remember. My dad took me out all the time when we were kids. My dad was awesome with that kind of stuff. He had a little more temper than I do. He wasn't bad, though. I mean, he was great, but I feel like I'm a little more understanding. But my most memorable trip, there's a lot of them that come to mind, but now that I've had Ryder, I would say me and Cora and Ryder, about a year or two ago, probably 2 years ago. No, it was like a year ago. We went to Hocking Hills, Ohio, and we fished there, got licensed there, and we fished there while we were on vacation, which Hocking Hills is awesome. I love that place. First time we ever went there. And it probably wasn't even a year ago. I think I posted my first video, which one of them was that trip or something. And that was like 10 months ago or something, probably, or maybe a little bit longer. But I didn't post it till then. But we stopped back at a trout stream in southern Indiana on our way back up home. We live in northern Indiana, if you guys don't know. And we stopped on the way back at a place I love to fish that has brown trout and rainbow trout and smallmouth bass all in the same stream. Indiana, to have trout all year long in a body of water in Indiana is super rare. Like, there's a couple streams, and like off Lake Michigan, you have tributaries off Lake Michigan that have it, but it's only because it's off Lake Michigan. But inland streams and stuff, it's not very common. They do put and take. They stock trout, and usually by the time the summer heats up, if they're not caught, they die. It's basically just so that people can catch them and keep them. It's like program. You get an actual trout stamp or trout license, extra. It's like $8 extra or 10, I don't know. And that funds the program. It's kind of a cool thing, but it's not really sustainable in most places. But this reservoir that we go to actually has holdovers. They have brown trout that live 4 or 5 years old and get decent size, and rainbow trout too. So we stopped back there, and I caught a 16.5-inch brown trout right off the bat. And we showed up, got set up, and it started, a storm blew in. And we had like 30 minutes literally to fish. We went out of our way 2 hours to get there on our way home and had like half an hour to fish. And that kind of goes in a line of like, be prepared for anything, because storm blew in and we were screwed. There's nothing we could do. We went down to the stream, like, let's do this. We fished. I caught a almost 17-inch brown trout, beautiful fish. And Ryder he helped me release it and all that. That's actually one of my earliest videos. And I still hold my phone, I think, upright. I didn't know how to hold my phone in landscape mode. I didn't understand any of that. And Cora caught like a huge drum, like a freshwater drum. We both caught a fish real quick, and then it started storming. As soon as we heard lightning, we had Ryder with us especially, it was like, time to go. That's another thing. If you can hear lightning, you're close enough to get struck by lightning. You hear the thunder, so keep that in mind. But, so yeah, we booked it out of there and went home. It was like a week-long trip that we took. Went to all kinds of caves and fished. We fished in Ohio too. Cora caught her biggest bass on that trip actually too, which was awesome, which was a separate video. She caught, we didn't weigh it or anything, but it was at least like 3 pounds probably. It was a big bass. Cool. But yeah, it was super fun. There's tons more fishing trips I can think of, but that one really sticks out. It was just a spontaneous, like at the Arnold way home, like, I haven't had enough fishing, let's stop at this place on the way and try to hit this up. And I caught the biggest trout I ever caught, and it was just really cool. Ryder was really involved in it. He's standing in the stream with me and just like super excited about it. It was really neat.
Glenn, he is from Indiana. I'm not sure exactly where you're at in Indiana, Jake. They asked where you were from. You're in Indiana, right?
I am in northern Indiana. I am not far from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I'm probably 35 minutes from Fort Wayne, 40 minutes from Fort Wayne, Indiana. So right up there in the northeast part of it.
Do you have any questions for me, Jake, before we start wrapping all this up? We've got about 5 minutes.
I guess one of my questions would be about the trash collecting tournament, which we haven't even talked about, that I won. I'm super excited about that. That was awesome. I don't know if Scott and Jeremy's watching, but if they are now or watch it later, that you guys did awesome. Everybody else in it did great too. I can't believe we collected that much garbage. That's awesome. I didn't think I was going to win. I thought Scott was going to just plow me over there because he was just going nuts. And the last day of the tournament, I collected, over 150 pounds probably that day. I stayed out. I collected trash for over 8 hours that day. And it started raining, and I kept going because I really wanted to win. And but my question for you is, next year, what are you thinking about? You told me kind of some things, but what's kind of some of your thoughts?
So next year, the rules will be more defined as far as what will be allowed and what won't be allowed. Along with that, the goal, I believe, is going to be 5,000 pounds collected.
Yeah, I remember Scott saying that in the live stream, and I was like, yeah, definitely 5,000.
I think that's doable. This year was a trial run, and I think that I learned a lot from it. Getting the word out quicker. Obviously, I had 2 weeks to prepare for this tournament, and that was just me being quick with it. That's all. That's all that was. So I'll probably start getting the word out 3 months ahead of time. I thought of an idea of getting posters so that they can be just PDFs and having them on a website so that people can just print them out and you can put them at your local boat ramps. So I know for me, I'll be putting one at the my home boat ramp or whatever, where I clean up probably once a month now. And I'll have a big one printed out there. And anybody that wants to print out that PDF can. It'll talk about the tournament and all that. What else? Hoping it'll reach more people next year. And there will be throughout this year. I'm not sure how many there will be this year, but definitely next year. There will be more actual location-based mini tournaments. So just like a regular tournament, you meet at a boat ramp, you go out, you collect trash, and you come back and you weigh in your trash that day. Someone asked about Catch of the Week. Because I'm using the software I'm using right now, I can't do Catch of the Week with it. I'm sorry, guys. I really am. There will be the Wednesday show, and I'm probably going to do a live show tomorrow or Tuesday, and I will put it in that along with the Wednesday show, I promise. Again, sorry about that. There's nothing I can do about it. But as far as the tournament goes, I think that answers your question, unless I'm missing something.
No, that's awesome, and I think that's a great idea. Doing it to where we can print it out and all post it at different places. I think that's a great idea, actually. And man, that's a bummer that you're not doing Catch of the Week.
I'm sorry.
It's my fault because I don't have I'm doing it on my phone, so it's my fault. But yeah, I love Catch of the Week. It's the best. Another thing I was going to ask you. Oh, did you have a question?
Well, M and the gang said something about local competitions. There is going to be a local competition in North Carolina sometime soon. I will get in contact with you somehow and let you know about it because I know you're in that area. But I think it's going to be around the Greenville, North Carolina area. And Anthony Horton Fishing is going to be putting it on. It's going to be at a boat dock. You go out on your boat or your kayak, whatever. It's going to have a set time. You come back and you bring your trash in and you weigh it just like you would a fish. All right, go ahead. Sorry, Jake.
Oh, I was also going to ask. I can't see the comments, so I don't know who all's in there. Okay. Did Fly Fishing Ninja ever come in?
He did. He talked about it. Yes, he did.
What did he say something that I missed, or did we talk about it, or
what? Did I miss something?
Oh, I don't know. I can't see the comments. I just wondered if he came in and did Dewey Cash come in?
Dewey came in, yes.
Okay. There's just a couple of channels. I was wondering if they came in or not.
Oh, yep. Let's see. The Fly Fishing Ninja mentioned his boys and that they were doing better.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. Hey, I had something to say to him, Ryan. Actually, I'm sorry. Life of a Fly Fisherman.
Yep.
To get it right. But if you use frozen peas, don't put them back in the freezer. I just want to say that. I wanted to say that on a comment the other day, but I didn't. So
there you go. Let's see. Any other last minute questions you guys have for us? Send them in now. Going to be wrapping up the show in the next couple of minutes. So last minute questions, send them in now. Any other questions for me, Jake?
I just want to say thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do this for a long time, but I was always kind of nervous about it because I'm not a huge channel or whatever. But
I thought it was a great topic. It's not a topic that anyone ever talks about. And while not everyone out there that fishes has kids or they take their kids fishing, I think it's an important topic to discuss and to let folks know that you can take your kids fishing at a young age and you can do this and that, and you don't have to, you don't have to just have them at home while you're out doing that. They can be out there with you.
Yeah. Oh, there was one more thing that I wanted to talk about right before we end it, and I'll make it quick. You guys notice a lot in my videos when I fish with Ryder, I don't have him have his own pole. He's 3 years old. He has his own fishing poles, but you've had guests on before talk about it, how the kid poles are kind of a joke.
Yeah.
And it kind of is at that age. If they don't know how to cast, their own pole is kind of not useful. I use my own pole. I have a good setup that he can use. You know, I have my own pole and a setup for me. And if it's good enough for me, it works for him. He knows how to use my spinning rod and everything. You've seen it in videos.
Yeah.
I'll cast it out. I'll sometimes let him hook one if he can, if it's just reeling in a lure. But if not, I'll get a good fish on. And when it's hooked and I know it is, I transfer it to him right away. And all he has to do is hold it right and learn how to use it, which is easy for kids to do once they get the hang of it.
Yeah.
He'll reel it in, and he gets the glory of reeling that, feeling the fight, and he gets it in. I help him land it. And if he's not into that, I let him man the net. He's my net man. And he knows how to use it better than some of my best friends. I mean, that kid, for 3 years old, I mean, he can handle a pole and he can handle a net. I mean, it's awesome. But only because I expose it to him all the time. We're always doing that. But I think it's way better. That's my theory that I've developed over time. It's way better. Just bring a pole for you. And that way, when the kids are done with it, you can fish yourself and let them play in the water, do whatever they want to do. You know what I mean? And it's just extra poles you have and tackle you have to pack that you don't need. Just bring your own pole and then let them take it over and get the fun parts of it till they get to a certain age. But like at that young age, you can get them into it when they're like, Ryder wasn't even 2 years old when he's sitting there reeling in fish. I mean, he could do it. It's just, so now I hand him my pole and he puts it under his armpit and holds that reel and just reels it in. So I just wanted to talk about that little theory that I have come up with over the years of doing it with Ryder.
Awesome. If any of you guys watching would like to be on the show, I've got several openings coming up, and all you have to do is email me, yakinwithsarah@gmail.com. I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. Shoot me an email or a DM or a message, and just present me with a topic, and we can go over it and we can critique it and go from there. Like Jake said, I don't care about the size of your channel. Just something to talk about, something we're going to be able to have a full show on, and it'll be fun. I think Jake can attest that it's a pretty easygoing show. I'm not too hard on my co-host, I don't think.
No,
And,
it's been totally awesome. I'm glad you had me on the channel. I'm super excited about it. I've been excited about it all week. Been all hyped up.
and I do most of the work. You guys just come and you answer questions. So yeah, if you want to be on the show, just let me know. Like I said, yakinwithsarah@gmail.com. Also, if you want to be in next week's Catch of the Week, this week's is full. Next week's Catch of the Week, just send me an email as well with your Catch of the Week. I'll feature you in hopefully that Sunday and on Wednesdays. Is Jake working for State Farm on the side?
Oh my gosh. Who said that? Who said that?
Fishing with Big D.
Oh man, come on, D. I've never heard that before. Holy cow.
All right, guys. It's been a great show. Thank you so much, Jake, for signing on with me and being my co-host tonight. I'll catch all of you later. You want to do your own sign-off, Jake?
Hey, this is Jake Wyatt from the Wyatt Life, and thanks for having me on, Sarah. I really appreciate it. I had a great time, and we'll see you guys later.
See you guys.